Good morning, Alister. This is Sunday morning, 10 a.m, November the 6th, at Highfield Avenue. Our greetings from the Hird family, and we thought, after hearing your tapes, all of them so far, that we'd like to make one for you. Your tapes we found very interesting. We had the Atlas out and followed you all around Scotland, in Inverurie and all those places, found them on the Atlas quite easily and enjoyed all this. Very intrigued with the business of your van, thought it was great fun, and it wasn't until just the other night, when hearing your 6th tape, that we found out what we always wanted to know: what became of the old axle. We imagined you either leaving it there or stuffing it in the back of the van and then dumping it somewhere else, but I guess from what I hear, England isn't big enough to just go dumping things in. Your Isle of Man tape, evidently you made it with your bass setting very low, your tone setting very low, and we found that on the tape recorder that we played it on, it was too low, and the tape recorder had no tone control, so we had to take it down to your place to hear it. But it was very good. We really enjoyed, or rather I did. I was the only one of our family that heard that tape, apart from the attempts we made here. The Isle of Man, of course, is famous, and it was quite interesting to sit there with my mind's eye in the distance and just hear the names that you mentioned, and to hear the row going on outside too. They were wrapping it on for you, weren't they? Still, they weren't as bad as the trucks in Inverurie. But anyway, I'm actually using your dad's tape recorder at this moment, and I've taken care to set everything right, I hope, so that you will be able to decipher the results when you get it. Of course, the big event lately here, and by comparison with what you're doing, things are a bit quiet around here, of course. The wedding was the big effort of this half of the year anyway, and everything went pretty swimmingly. I've just been down to your mum's place to get this tape recorder, and she's showing me colour photographs, and good and bad, and growling about how terrible she looks in the photo, and which is all malarkey anyway. She doesn't look all that bad. Ian and Julie have shifted to their place at Timuka, and I noticed that Ian's car was there this morning, but nobody around, so I guess they've come back to get Julie's car. The Dodge did its stuff in splendid style, created a lot of raised eyebrows. Where did that car come from? Never seen a car like that round here before. The only thing was that the poor old Dodge dropped its fan belt on the way down and made the bride 4 minutes late, and the little man that was running the show was quite indignant that the bride was late. Apparently he doesn't hold with this tradition of the bride being late. Anyway, they got it fixed while the wedding was going on. Uncle Pete did his stuff in great style. He carted the bridesmaids, and I had Auntie Weezer and all our family. Went to town and got Auntie Weezer, took her to the wedding, looked after her all day, and the Holden did a very good job there. No hitch, no trouble. And we got her back. She was supposed to be back at 7 o'clock, and I think it was 9 when we finally got her in the door. A very forbidding looking female came out and took her in, and I think Auntie had a mighty day. Ian was very shrewd, and I would have been very surprised had he got caught out with the old traditional trick of having his car done over for the wedding. But I understand it was hidden down in Southbridge in a cockie's barn with a great big tractor in front of it, where nobody knew it would be. So Ian didn't get caught with that one. And they seem to be okay now. They have been apparently to Queenstown and Arrowtown for their honeymoon. They brought back a copy of the Lake County Times, printed in 1886, and the heading on the front page says, Ian and Julie Clark tried and found guilty, and the crime was sniffing wine bottle corks public hanging midday today, all welcome, bring your own beer. And apparently you can get this done down there. You can get a copy of this old paper with anything you like on it. And that's what I found lying on your mum's table one night when I went down there, or the night I went to hear the Isle of Man tape. Well, there's not much going on around here, but if you look between the rungs of the ladder you can find out a few things. The bike scene's not too bad. Of course, a lot of the old bikies, they've gone playing golf, and of course, you know, when you get like that, you're not much use really to the bike scene, only occasionally in short bursts. The big shock of the year, of course, was me buying a Honda, and I hear you rambling on in one of your tapes that you were going to do me for this, and wait till I get him. Well, you'll be damn lucky if you see it, because I'm not at all enthralled with it. I thought that 4 cylinders and self-starters and everything would be just the grand tool. But really, I am disappointed in it in many ways, and I sure miss a trail bike. The 354's got just too many faults for what it's supposed to be. The frame is okay, but this particular one has absolutely no suspension, never did have, as far as I can make out. At low speed it falls into its corners in quite a persistent manner. At high speed the cornering is alright. By high speed I mean 65 up 70, and by the way, this thing will do 80 without any effort. But if you hit a bump in a sweeping bend at high speed and you get a sort of a oval rotation of the tail light, and this is the only way I can describe what happens to it. It apparently has one shock working slightly and the other one not at all, and you think you're going over the fence. It's really, it's a big thrill. The other things that gripe me is the fact that the engine has no flywheel effect whatever, and when you shut the throttle it just drops dead with a big resulting clunk in the primary drive chain, and when you wrap it on again you get the unclunk in the same way. And I don't know, I suppose I should be grateful for what I've got and all the rest of it, and I can't for the life of me see where the next one's coming from. But I am disappointed, really. It's not because it's a Honda or anything, but I'm beginning to form an opinion that there must be people, I suppose, who like 4-cylinder stuff and all the grandeur, but not for me. I would far rather have a trail bike, because I haven't been off, I've barely been off the tar seal since I've had this thing, and it's 7 months now. It's not safe if the yard's wet, it's liable to lie down on you. A bit slippery in the front. That of course is the particular tyre that it has, but it's alright if it's a well used gravel road, but it's freshly graded, not so funny really. Now I'll have to go for a minute, Alister. I'll just switch her off. I'm back, and in the meantime I have sold my 2 Humbers for the princely sum of $40, and I've got a lot of room in the shed and the yard, and I've got rid of all the old junk, and hooray. I don't mind too much about not getting much for it, but I was sick of the sight of it. Now, to continue with this stuff about the 354, there's only 1 or 2 things more to say. The ordinary maintenance takes far too long. Compared with the 2-stroke, it's painful, and there's 3 words to sum the machine up, Alister. It's corpulent, it's opulent, and it's flatulent. So that deals with that. I must say that I missed the Kawasaki badly, because it was easy to maintain, it was nice to ride, and I enjoyed it very much. The big bike thing now, of course, is Yamaha's. They're really gobbling it up. They've got XT and TT, and now I read in the paper, in the press the other day, that there's going to be a GT, and it's based on the XT frame, and they stick spoke wheels in it, these wooden spoke wheels they have now. It looks to me as though they've raided the parts bin, but they've made a very nice looking bike, and a 500 single OHC tourer would be nice, I would think. You wouldn't be ashamed to take it anywhere by the look of it. But of course, proof of the pud is in the eating. Kevin's bike is a very good bike. I've ridden it quite a bit. In fact, I had to run it in for him, because old Kev, he's having a bit of trouble with his second $500,000, and he was busy that day, and he wanted it for rods on Sunday, so I had to go out on a freezing cold Saturday afternoon and ride it round and gradually get it to the stage where it come unstiff and wasn't so sore. And I quite like it. I like it very much. And he has good results at rods with it. He rides it well, and it's good. Yesterday, Barry was telling me this morning that yesterday Kevin and Rob Happer had a drag match up the paddock, and this was the Myco versus the Yamaha TT, and Kevin could leave him for dead off the mark, and when Kevin was finished, Rob just took over from there and left him from dead. So what the hell speed he was doing I wouldn't know, but that's how it goes. Brian Donaldson also told me that he could beat them all to the bottom of the hill, and he was last to the top. So he's sold his now, and it has a 400 something or other two-stroke Yamaha motocrosser. The business of rods, I have been helping sell one with rods for quite some time. I've been inspecting bikes and helmets and looking after the bikes generally, seeing they go out there in good repute and all this. And of course you might know old Selwyn was always bitterly opposed to ACU and any of its curses, but apparently the Rods Club decided that the bike section should become affiliated with the ACU, and I got clobbered with the job of being the ACU club steward for Ellesmere Motor Club. So I've got a big warrant to prove this, and I have to fill in reports. I had a ring on the phone from your friend Mr. What's his name? Shearman. And we like each other. He hadn't been to visit us yet, so I told all these bloody obyars that they better have everything right that day, and if it's all okay he'll go away and leave us alone. But if they do anything silly that day, well then it'll be just too bad. We'll have him on our back always. Kevin, old Selwyn, They had a he's a hard thing, this Selwyn character. He says the funniest things. On Labour Day they have a gala at Southbridge, and I had to go there and officiate, looking after scramble bikes and speedway bikes. And of course I knew most of these speedway guys by sight, and they were not an acquaintance because they'd seen me round the pits and all that, but they didn't know me and I didn't know them really. So Selwyn introduced me to one of these fellas, Paul Fewings, and he introduced me as, this is the Union man, he's Tom Skinner's left-hand screwdriver. Tom Skinner's left-handed screwdriver, and that's how I got introduced to the Speedway boys. But anyway, I got on okay with them. We had a good day's fun. The blokes riding the scramble bikes were essentially the same fellas who ride at Rods, and towards the end of the program they were swapping bikes and having fun, and everybody was happy. It was a good day out. The only trouble was there was a wind that would blow your head off just above your collar. Now, with regard to the family here, your Auntie Joyce, of course, is a big contractor to the post office. She goes down there for an hour a day and 2 hours on Saturday and cleans post office. Rachel works for the RNZAF at Wigram in the mess, after various attempts at getting a better job than that, which probably wouldn't have been quite so well paid. She managed to get this job, and I think it's alright. At least it's something for her to do. She's getting dough. She now owns a Cortina Mark 1 shape, first shape Cortina, and well, we see her now and again. She boards here and there and comes home and boards and then goes back and stays with someone else and then runs out of board there and comes home again. I'm still with the army, looking after the taxpayers' badly ruined gear and repairing same. Charlotte's doing well at school. She appears to be a dead cert for school certificate. And Erin is still going to primary school, and Ralph lives still at Templeton Hospital. In fact, your Auntie Joyce and I have been there today. By the way, there was a gap of some hours. I got back to this again, I think, at almost 5:20. So we've been away to see Ralph today, and old Ralph's goodo. He takes, amongst other things at the school there, he takes cooking lessons, and we've been to visit the school teacher, who's a very nice bloke, very understanding man and all the rest of it, and he was telling us that one day they went to do the cooking and there was no milk, and he said, what happened to the bottle of milk? Anyway, someone says, Ralph drank it. So that's Ralph. Now, the old Holden, she's doing a very good job. Had a couple of water pump failures, but nothing much really. The odd puncture. A good car. A nice simple car. I never realised just how good they were. There was something that I didn't have any interest in, not being all that car minded nowadays, but I find that the Holden's a very satisfying thing to work on. If you have to do anything, it's easy to do, and it goes very smoothly, and we're happy. And as I said before, the Humbers have gone now, gone today, sold. I had a very interesting drive. Kevin, of course, as you've mentioned in your tapes and heard, no doubt, Kevin is no longer with the driving fraternity now, and he has changed his Cortina for a 2000 auto so that Neil can drive him around. But he and I went to a motorcycle club meeting at Ashburton one night, and I drove him down there in this 2000 automatic with its twin choke carburetor and all the jazz, and I was very impressed. It goes round corners like it's stuck on rails, and motors quite some too. It's two cars in a sense, so you can puddle along on a small throat and you can get yourself up to about 55 and you're happy there. But if you want to do something drastic, all you've got to do is hoof it, and she really starts to roar and get stuck into it. She's quite a machine. I'm still doing the magazine, and I'll mention that later because there's something I want to ask you. I'm still doing road tests. I did a 185 Suzuki the other day, and I'm supposed to do a Kawasaki trials bike, which Kawasaki is trying to sell to the cockies now because they've imported too many, I guess, and there's not all that many people buy them. Incidentally, talking about trials, the Pioneer Club now have trials for both solo bikes and sidecars, and there was a trial up at the water race intake up the road here last Sunday, and I went up and had a look, and I tell you what, the sight of two guys wheeling across the paddock on a trials bike and little wee skinny sidecar is quite something. It really wants to be seen. Now, what intrigued me about your sixth tape is the story about the trip to South America, and I would think that if you pull that off, you'll really have something under your belt. There's something to tell your grandchildren about. But what particularly intrigued me was that you're going to use the XT bike. Now, if there is a possibility of bringing that machine back to New Zealand, and you say that possibly you might have to, I want it for a test for the magazine. I think that bike would be worth something after having done that, at that trip I mean, and I want it for a test for the magazine when it comes back. Always assuming we've still got a magazine in a year's time and all the rest of it. It does seem a long time for you to be away though, and while I was listening to your tapes down at your place, it was still daylight. You know, we're on this daylight saving thing now, and I was looking out the window at your hut with its door shut, and I thought, well, I wouldn't mind seeing him walk out that door. But however, you can't have everything. The Begbies, Ian and Shirley Begbie, are going to Scotland for a couple of months for a holiday, I think. I'm not sure. I guess old Ian's going to drag back some fancy bits for his sidecar thing, most likely. Speedway started last night. I went with Errol, and we met Alec Jones, and we sat together and watched the start of the season. Big fanfare. Every competitive machine was wheeled out onto the track and lined up in front of the crowd. There was big photos taken. Ronnie Moore opened the season. Said the usual thing that he always says, he didn't come here to listen to me, now get on with it. I hereby declare the season open, and she was. And the racing was very good. Roger Wright's the big star just at the moment. He's top man, and there's the Brown brothers and Tom Black, and some of the lesser stars are really starting to shine a bit now. There's blokes like Graham Stewart and Graham Taylor. Very good. They're very good indeed. And after they got the track dried out a bit, incidentally too, the track is different. They have a shaped wall which deflects bikes and cars back onto the track, And I saw a bloke twice last night. I saw chaps go into the wall and come off again. They just wobbled around a bit and took off again. No big drama, no down and hobbling around, and no big ambulance business at all. It looks cruel and terrible, but apparently works. The foot of the wall is the same shape as that boom thing going over the Sockburn overbridge. You know what I mean? It's a deflector, and it apparently is very effective with cars. I wouldn't know though how the side cars would get on. They come round the wrong way, and quite possibly they just ride up the wall and sort of stay there. With that canted over wheel that they have. Our local boy at Speedway is Wayne McClintock. After a very scrappy season last year, he started quite well. He was riding too at that thing on Labour Day at Southbridge. He rode extremely well, I thought. He worked his way up. He got a third, and then he got a second, and in his last race he really went to it. He was throwing in halfway down the straight, and he was square on coming round the corners, just flicking the bails, and he never looked back. He didn't put a foot wrong or do anything wrong. He made a beautiful job of it, and I think he might be coming to something. Ronnie Moore has a troop for Speedway this year, about 5 riders, and he's waltzing them up and down the country, and you know, putting on a good show. The Brown brothers and Roger Wright are in that. Now there's something happening in Christchurch which is, I think, quite significant. There's a big article in the press Friday, November the 4th, all about Christchurch firm develops new alcohol racing motor. Templeton debut tomorrow. And this is a thing called the Denko, D-E-N-C-O, designed by Colin Lister, who actually drew this design some years ago when as a design for a slave cylinder or slave engine for a 2000cc car engine that he was designing, but they never built this slave engine. They went on with the car. They got on so well with the other engine they went on building it. This chap Denson, the Denko man, his name, that's his firm, Denko Engineering. Denson thought that the design looked very good on this drawing, so he has translated it into flesh and blood and metal and whatnot. It's a twin overhead cam engine. It recirculates its oil. It has a cooling tank. It has an oil pressure gauge tucked away down below, and its cams are driven by a toothed belt drive. And it's being campaigned a wee bit gingerly, I noticed last night, by Tom Black, who is he's the official test rider for this thing. And if it comes up to their expectation, they will then dicker around with selling either the design or manufacturing, but he's not charging into anything just yet. He wants to know that she's right first. And on the face of it, it looks very good. It went very well last night, but they say that it's fearsomely light, and Tom appeared to be in trouble a couple of times where it was a bit rough, where heavy blokes like Roger Wright on the 4-valve jar would just charge through it and you wouldn't notice the bumps. Old Tom was wobbling around a bit and bouncing up and down. They say that it's very, very light, and this could be a disadvantage apparently. It is interesting too in that it's the only Speedway bike I've seen or heard of that uses a Japanese carburetor, and it has a, oh damn, I can't see the figures now in this paper, but they've even run it without oil, it says here on the stand. It wasn't under load, but it never stopped. It looks as though it will be reliable. Oh, I don't know, but anyway, it's a Mikuni carburetor. It looks to me, by the size of the hole in the end of it, it's about 32 or 33 or something like that. Incidentally, I understand that in an effort to cut down straightaway speeds in Speedway, they are going to introduce restrictions on throat sizes. 4 valves have to stay with 32, and 2 valves are allowed to go up to 34, and that's it. Very arbitrary. Apparently they're concerned that they're wrapping on a bit much pace down the straight, but of course, you know, you've got to get grip to get pace, so I suppose they know what they're doing. Now there was something that's all about that. Last night's Speedway was very good and we enjoyed it, but it got terribly cold towards the end. Alan Brown has a Neal Street conversion. Now this, I understand, is made in Australia, and it looks externally rather like this other one I've been talking about. It has a great big timing case going up the left hand side. It has, I actually inspected the bike at Southbridge. It has twin overhead cams, but how many valves it's got and all that sort of thing I just don't recall now. They did tell me. The other big bit of news that's coming good, the Japanese are apparently getting the message now. I just mentioned before that there's this GT 500 Yamaha. Well, that's, in my opinion, that's what I'm on about when I'm talking about fours. Fours are for blokes that like fours, but I would love to have a big single bike like I did when I was in my teens. My old 500 BSA sloper and stuff like that. And this Yamaha is the logical conclusion of those early designs. Now also I see in the Kawasaki shop in Riccarton a very nice 200 single, a road bike, a bit tiny for headwinds I would think, but a very nice design, and when that's enlarged or grows up to be a 350 or something, that would be a nice bike to have. There is also a KL 250 just coming into Australia now, the logical counterpart, or the logical four-stroke counterpart of my old F11, a very similar looking bike in fact, but it's got a nice single overhead cam engine, and it makes me drool. It makes me drool. The only odd thing about it, it's got a great big near vertical pad hanging down the back of the mudguard right down to below the hub, and it looks like something that ought to be fitted on a Land Rover, but that's the only odd part about it. I suppose it's okay. It'll certainly stop the thing flinging mud all over its tail light and number plate and all up your back, but I don't know, I like the old duck's bill tail end on the old F11 better than this. It does look funny. However, the Japanese seem to be going the right way in my opinion. They're starting to make bikes now that are really back to the old idea of a cheap, well not cheap in this country, but an economical, efficient transport, not all overblown with a whole lot of stuff that they don't really have to have. I don't see that there's any need for all this multiplicity of parts. It's a hell of a business trying to service them anyway. The big trial is on next show weekend. That is next weekend is the show weekend trial. I understand they're going to northern Otago Central, all around there. They're going to stay 2 nights in Alexandra, and I drool with jealousy, but it's no use drooling. I did consider going as a checkpoint man. Now I've got this 4-pipe organ of mine. I thought I might have gone and done checkpoints with it, but then I realised it would still cost me just as much. I'd have to pay me board for, and all I would save really would be the entrance fee, which wasn't much compared to it all, so I didn't bother in the end. I still ride my bike every day to work. Enjoy that very much. I get some mighty racing sometimes, and this is another thing about this 354. You can find yourself going far too quickly because you have no indication of speed. You don't hear it because of your helmet screaming in the wind. I mean, this is when you get up past say 60, and you could be doing 80 and you wouldn't have a clue. And I did something like this over on the west coast when I first got it. The Ashburton Club had a overnight trial, you know, like went over one day to Copera and came back again, and we were wandering up some bally gravel road up some show or other, and I had Bruce Mackay breathing down my neck, and I was trying to catch old Phil Capon and Roy. As I was saying, Alister, I was chasing these Japs in front and being followed hard behind, and I entered the corner much too quickly, drifted out into the grass and had a wild waffle round right up close to a wire fence, round a stump, back onto the road again. And I don't know how I managed not to come off, but Was told later that it was a fine bit of motocross, but you know, you want to watch that, don't do that again. So that was my sharp lesson. The big problem, of course, is that there's no vibration, and you don't have sound or feeling of your speed. And in a situation where as a rider you're far too busy to read gauges and all that jazz, you've got really nothing to go by. And of course I got caught out. And I have noticed too at other times when I've been passing or overtaking, I found myself going much faster than I thought I was, and it's very disconcerting, of course, and could get into all sorts of trouble. I don't know whether the others have told you, but Chris Stone is now out of business in Ashburton. There is another chap running the shop. I don't know his name, but it's still a Honda agency, and Stone's just all more or less drifted out of it. I don't know what he's doing or where he is even. Apparently still in Ashburton, and I suppose he has some other job. Mackay and Donaldson, of course, both worked for him, and they saw their opportunity and took it. They left him and went to a little shop down the street for a while, and now they have quite a big Yamaha agency in the Triangle in Ashburton. It's a big shop. It goes right through the base of the triangle. It's the full width of the base of the triangle. You go in the front on one street and you come out the back at the other street, and you can also go out the side of it into the base street, the street that runs across the baseline of the triangle. So you can see that they've got a big place, and it's very well set up, very nice, full of bikes, good workshop, and they're doing well. And when you go to a club fixture now, instead of having Hondas everywhere, it's suddenly changed and it seems to be all Yamahas. There are a few Hondas, a lot of motocross material kicking around, of course. There's still a few CR250s and the odd 125 and a few Suzukis, but it's mostly Yamahas now. They're the big thing. There was a club event down at Smith's Farm recently. Kevin organised it. I went down for a wee while. They had a beautiful bank there that they were charging up and jumping off the top of into space, and quite a wild looking circuit. They were having fun. I didn't stay very long. I had Ralph with me. I just took him down for a wee while. But I noticed there that there was a lot of yams screaming about the place. There was 5 or 6 TTs, and this is a very big paddock, and they were having drags up to the ultimate speed, and man, they were moving when they got down the other end. They really were. I did notice too that there wasn't too many of the other guys went over and joined them. The two-stroke fraternity seemed to be keeping away. I just didn't find out why. I don't know whether anybody's told you about this or not, but you know who Bob Burns is. Well, Bob, recently, he's 66 years of age. He recently retired from his work and sold his big house and got a smaller one, and went through all the turmoil of retirement. But being canny old Scot like he is, he found himself with enough left over to buy himself a brand new 750 shaft drive Yamaha, which he undertook to ride round the South Island, to ride round New Zealand in 22 days, visiting all the Yamaha dealers. And he set off from Tommy's Yamaha in Christchurch with a great fanfare and a big lot of guff in the paper about it and a picture of him. And I don't know how long later it was, a few days later or some days later or a week or more, they found him lying in a creek at Murchison, near Murchison. The yammy all wrapped up in a knot, and Bob's lying in the water with broken pelvis, broken arm and so on. And he is now in the Nelson Hospital. And the other day I rang Tommy's especially to find out just how he was and where he was, and the girl said that he is mending nicely, but he is to stay in Nelson until all the bone mending is done, and then he will come back to Christchurch, and he's quite well and happy and everything's going fine. Of course he's a remarkably fit, strong man for his age, and this will help him, but it could have been much worse, because had it not been for a truck driver crossing this bridge and just happening to look into the creek bed, he mightn't have been found for some considerable time. And that's how he was found. He was lying in the water with his head out and just couldn't do anything. I'm beginning to look forward to this season at Ruapuna this year. Not that I go there a great deal, but I do like to see what's going on. And I have been reading in Revs who's coming and who's not, or who thinks they'd like to come, or who says they might come. And there should be a fair smattering of overseas people, and our own, of course, Stu Vant and possibly John Boot and John Woodley. Woodley writes an article sometimes for Revs, and he mentions coming back for the Marlborough series, and that should be all very interesting. It's I enjoy that end of the season or end of the Marlborough series meeting very much, also the Easter meeting. Most of the windblown trees in this district anyway seem to have been tidied up now, and it's a little tidier. There's enormous windrows of dozed up timber lying about in various places, and I expect that soon they'll be replanting. And I suppose it does look better than the mess that was there before, but it would have looked even better still all in trees. The countryside is very green because we've had an awful lot of water really over the winter and most of last summer. The colour of the grass and the amount of it, especially on the roadsides and on people's lawns and everything, it looks quite different from the Canterbury that it was several years ago. When we first came here, the summers were just bone dry and brown and nothing seemed to grow. But it looks very good right now. It rained yesterday afternoon and all night, but it's fine again today, but still cool. I suppose it's early on yet. It's only early November. We can't expect any summer just yet. Today at work, or rather at lunchtime, I got stopped. I went away down to the garrison shop and I got stopped by a military policeman wanting to know, is this your motorcycle, and could I see the warrant please, and I'll take your number, and could you please show us your licence within 7 days. I don't know what all that was about, but I did see him talking to another motorcyclist. Perhaps they're just checking on lost bikes or just being difficult generally. He wasn't stopping cars particularly, only to see their soldiers' identity cards, which they've got to produce at any time. But he made a... well, of course I didn't have my licence with me. I told him I never carry it to work because I might lose it. But that'd be only half a truth too, because I never carry it at all in case I lose it. It always stays in my desk, so now I better go and dig it out so that I can take it with me tomorrow and show it to them. This brings me to about an end, Alister, and I'll stop soon. I'm going to get all the others to say something to you, and we might even have to wait till next weekend to get Ralph into the act, but anyway, I'll stop myself now, and don't forget, I want to test that bike when you bring it back, if you bring it back, and best of luck for the trip, and we'll see you when you get back here. Bye for now.
Hi Alister, this is Charlotte here, your little cuz. How are you? I can't think of anything to say. This is a very difficult thing to talk into. I suppose you don't want to listen to a whole lot of trash about schoolgirl's life, but heard a lot about your trips, been listening to a few of your tapes. The first 3 sounds really interesting. It sounds really neat. I'd love to go over there and sort of do what you're doing, travel around a bit and see everything, you know, meet a few people, stay in a few places quite a while. One of my little dreams. But in the meantime, you know, school. Oh, we've got school cert coming up, and oh crap, it's only about 2 weeks. No, it's less than that, only about a week and a half. Not, oh, well I am really, I'm sorting my little heart out. I've got geography and English and technical drawing to sit. I've already done art and maths. Though art, you have to hand in a great big folder, and maths, it's internally assessed, and apparently I've already passed that. Miracles of miracles. If you would have told me that at the start of the year, I wouldn't have believed you. But apart from that, nothing much has been happening really. I got a job at Tea Rooms a wee while ago, just down at Dunsandel here, last Saturday I started, and it's show weekend at Christchurch now, and yesterday I worked there because we had Thursday and Friday off. It's Friday today. Yesterday was Thursday, and I worked there from 2:30 in the afternoon to 8:30, and we had masses of people come in wanting takeaways and meals and all the rest, and there was only old George and Mrs. Dundas and me, and I was busy rushing around these tables. I didn't know what to do. I was pretty inexperienced, and oh boy, did I make some boobs. Give people ham Hawaiians, and they wanted ham salads, and getting all the hamburgers mixed up. But Mrs. Dundas told me that it was a record day. We had a record amount of people in there, and we were understaffed and all this stuff. So I suppose I did fairly well, really. Hope so. Well, I'll sign off now and look after yourself and carry on having a good time, and I'll probably see you when you come back. Okay, bye. Hi, Alister. It's Rachel here. How are you? Oh, I can't think of much to say, but I suppose I can ramble on for a couple of minutes. I've been listening to a couple of your tapes, and it sounds like you're having a pretty good time over there. I wouldn't mind being in your boots instead of being stuck over here bloody working. I'm still working at Wigram. I don't know if you were here when I first started. That was about 9 months ago, but I'm still there anyway. I've got a new car now called Tina. Don't know if you know about that or not. I can't remember. Anyway, Dad bought it for me, and I'm paying that off. And I've still got a hell of a lot to go though. I just had a prang a little while ago. I went for a stop sign, and a motorbike ran into me. But I think, and I'm hoping, it sounds like he's given a false name and address and everything, so it could be that he didn't have a licence or something, so I might get let off easy with that. And that's about all I can think of. Show weekend here today. Went to the show today. Bloody dusty hole. Was glad to get out of it. Well, I think I'll say goodbye for now, and I'll see you when you get back, I suppose, if I'm still around. Should be, with a bit of luck. Oh yeah, and if you have a listen in the background in Charlotte's tape, you'll hear Mum playing the piano, if you're interested. I'll see you later. Bye.
Hello, Alister. Auntie Joyce speaking. I hope everything's going alright with you. We've enjoyed your tapes very much. Don't forget, you're going to go to Belfast sometime. You're going to send me a postcard from there. I'll be looking forward to getting it. I had a letter from Uncle Dick, and he wanted to know if he could have any clippings from the press or the Star Sun giving us the price of houses in Christchurch. They're considering coming to New Zealand instead of going to Adelaide, which you probably heard through the family. So I cut out some clippings and sent them over. But I think next time I send him some, I'm going to put the ring round some of those Pendleton homes at $94,000 and $100,000. See what he says about that. What else have I got to say? I thought I'd play you a little tune. You remember Gran's old organ? Well, I've got it here in the little sitting room, so I thought I'd play something on it for you for Christmas. Here goes. tune on the old organ. You've probably had a few goes on it yourself a few years ago. Well, I hope you had a happy birthday. It's this month, isn't it? And probably by now you've got my letter. So, Merry Christmas, and I hope to see you back in 1978. We're all looking forward to Shirley's wedding. It'll be a little sort of family gathering for everyone. And I hope by now you've got my letter. So cheerio.
Hi Alister, this is Erin. There isn't much left to say because everybody else has had their turn, but I just want to say something. Like Rachel said, I wish I was in your boots, but you can't have everything. I suppose I better go now. Didn't say much, but see you soon.
Hello, Alister, and a happy birthday, and a Merry Christmas all in one. I am home for the day, and it is raining. How did you like your ride in the DC-10? I reckon they are great, don't you? Dad says that you are learning Spanish so that you can chat up the South American birds. Would that be right? I am still living at Templeton and I like it. You must be having a good time in England. You must go now. Best of luck, Alister. Be seeing you soon.
I'm back again, Alister. It seems that there's so much left on this tape that we can't afford the cost of postage all those miles to the other side of the world for a bit of empty tape, so we better fill it in a bit. The first part of it, of course, was made a week ago, and some things are slightly different now. For instance, Bob Burns is back in Christchurch, and the Yamaha wasn't so badly damaged after all, and he intends to have another go late in January, if you please. Some people never have enough. The chap who is running the Honda shop in Ashburton is called Simon Walker, and Chris Stone works for him. I produced my licence the next day at the military police hideout, and I noticed as I went along there that the place was just crawling with civilian police. They were everywhere. There was even a prowl car following me, and a traffic car and a traffic officer there. So anyway, I gave the bloke my licence, and he said, "Oh yes, thank you, Mr. Hird, that's what I wanted to see." He was only interested in my classifications. I suppose he thought old bees like me shouldn't be riding motorbikes. But anyway, he looked at this and gave it back and said that was okay. And I said to him straight out, "What's going on?" And he said, "What isn't going on?" And rushed away and left me. On the way back, I saw the highest ranking policeman I've ever seen. He had 3 pips on his shoulder. But I was told later that there was a Armed Defenders Squad course being held at Burnham that week. And subsequently in the news, they finished the course and went on into town and scooped up these 2 characters that have been out on the lam now for about a fortnight. 2 real hard nuts called Donnelly and Geeson, and they collected them up very neatly, so the practice must have done them good. But what everybody's laughing about is that while in the week that they were all at Burnham, somebody robbed the canteen. They took all the flat stackable money and left all the jingly bits, got away with $176, and they did it in broad daylight after the afternoon trading while it was shut for tea time, and with the place stiff with police. So that would be some sort of a record, wouldn't it? Yesterday Erin and I went up to Greendale to visit them on the Honda, and Uncle William was in fine style, in great form. It felt like an argument every now and again, but he didn't really get one. But we had a cup of tea and sat there for a while, yarned on. Betty's languishing at home with a broken collarbone, which she got by tobogganing on a toboggan towed by a car, if you please. She wouldn't have a motorbike. I suppose that'd be dangerous, but fancy tobogganing behind a car. And anyhow, she spilled off this thing and broke her collarbone. Everybody got spilled off, but she was the only one that got hurt, so she has to hang around Greendale now till she's well again. Uncle Bill took me out to the shed. We were prowling around there, crashing around amongst all the stuff, and he showed me the 2 TTs. I don't know whether anybody told you about this, but old Derek and his mate Roger, I don't know whether you know this character, I hardly know him at all. I think I've seen him once, but he's a good mate for old Derek. They bought these 2 TTs from Tommy, a job lot in the boxes, and they got quite a concession apparently, and of course they hoisted them off up to Greendale and assembled them themselves, and they couldn't have had them all that long. I doubt if it's any more than 3 months, and you ought to see them. The back end of Derek's is all chewed off, all the yellow mud guards disappeared, and it's all jagged ends, and the the tread on his knobbly is right down in the middle of the tread. It's right down to the mother rubber, all smooth there. The other bike has a piece of water pipe clamped in its handlebar clamps just for steering it around with, and not much else. The tank's gone, the seat's gone, all the cables. He apparently threw a sack over it to keep it warm, and it was too hot, and the whole caboodle caught fire, and she's just a mess. But anyway, such it is, you know. The young fellows, they have fun. They have fun, but apparently they've ridden these things in the riverbed until they just about jiggered them. Well, the tyres aren't much good, either of them. And then of course this character burns his, so that's the way it goes. Also in the shed was the beloved TL250 lying around in bits. He sold that to Philip, who's the bloke that's going to marry Shirley, and Philip's doing a big facelift on it, but the engine's in a box here and the front wheel's hanging on something else, and bits of it all around the place. Very jolly. So that's what they're doing. All this weekend I have been looking after Auntie Nellie's chooks. She has 1,000 or just under 1,000 birds in one of your dad's old brooder sheds, the one nearest the road. And they are away up to Picton for the weekend. Neil and Nellie and Errol. Kevin's home selling eggs and looking after his pigs and so on, and I've been doing the chooks. Quite good to get back to the old chooks again. Quite enjoying it really, and they're laying well. They've got half the birds are older than the other half. The second half is at 20 weeks old, and there were 3 pullets eggs this morning, the first ever. So that looks as though that part of it's going to go all right. I don't know how economic 1,000 birds would be, but just as much darn trouble as if you had 10,000, of course. Have you ever had a ride on this red Honda, Ralph, the 354?
No.
You haven't?
Which one?
The one I've got now. Haven't you had a ride yet?
No.
Well, we'll have to do something about that one of these fine days, won't we?
Once the warm sun comes out and all the rain clouds go away and you can get a ride.
Yeah. Where will we go? Shall we go back to Brookside and have a look in the old...
Coast Ford, go there again.
Oh yeah, but there won't be any running up and down the banks for the motorbike this time though, will there?
Too slippery.
Too steep, too fat,
Yeah.
too heavy.
Yeah, I say.
Good place, Coast Ford though, isn't it?
You should go there again. I like that place.
Yeah. And we must go back to the bridge at Brookside.
Oh, that one.
And see...
Under the road.
Yes, and see our eel.
He's probably gone by now.
Oh, might be there still, you never know. Wouldn't you think
He
so?
might have gone upstream. Upstream a little bit more for the warm.
For the warmth?
Yeah, another 4 or 5 miles up it from the bridge.
Oh, why there? Is it warmer there?
Oh, it might be.
Might be.
Yeah, you never know.
It's a pretty flash affair this, isn't it? See there, while I'm talking, that needle jumping round.
The what one?
Yeah, you watch it, you speak and see it.
Oh, yeah, I see it. Oh, yeah. I get you.
And it's got a radio as well.
What's it stuck in there?
There's funny names for everything. That thing's called a triple indicator.
Oh, double. Triple.
Triple.
Four.
It says empty and full and receiving level or something, and plus and minus and tuning.
Oh, yeah, I see.
All Dutch to me. What about you?
Alright, all that's to me too.
Oh, yeah. And the radio's pretty good. Shortwave. Look, it's got shortwave too. A lot of
yeah.
tape stuck over that. I wonder why. I wonder why he's put tape over
There's
there.
still some numbers under it, you can see them.
Oh yeah, they'd still be there, but perhaps it doesn't work, or he's got it disconnected or
You
something.
want to try it, hey?
Or later on we might.
Yeah.
You mustn't play with it though, it's not ours, you know.
No.
is it?
No way.
Oh well, we'll see about that after.
Yeah.
I saw Barry's model aeroplane yesterday. He had it in the kitchen on the table, but it was partly dismantled. I got a look inside it, all the little bits and pieces, the hair curlers and the wee battery and whatnots. All very interesting, but I haven't actually seen it flying yet, Alister. I suppose he gets it going every now and again. I'm never there at the right time. At the gala at Southbridge there was a chap flying a model aircraft by radio control, and it was very, very good. It was really good to watch, and he really knew what he was doing too. He was I didn't go near where he was because I didn't have the time or the chance to go over there, but he was in the paddock next door actually, behind the car park. But Neil and Barry were there apparently. They watched it all and saw how it was going, and they were very impressed too, but I could see it way up there doing its thing. What impressed me, and this is what I'd often wondered about, he drove it deliberately into a vertical climb until it stalled. That's like the airframe stalled. The engine was going flat out, of course, but a stall means that the wing stops flying. And I was interested to see just how it behaved. Of course, with an ordinary light aircraft, when you stall, you have to be very careful that it drops away cleanly, or it will go into a spin. And sometimes the spin characteristics of some aircraft are very difficult to stop, and you can end up horribly blurred across the countryside. But this thing, it dropped cleanly and very, very quickly. It was really savage the way that it dropped its nose and came down in an over vertical dive, slightly more than vertical, to within, I suppose, 50 feet of the ground, where it bottomed out in its pull out. Quite something to see, really. It also flew very well upside down, and would do outside loops. By that I mean it flew straight along and it just dived over on its nose and kept on going round, came up the right way again. And of course doing all the other things, flick rolls and full normal loops, slow rolling, flick rolling, and stall turning. Very, very good. It was a really good exhibition. Crumbs, mate, it's 4 o'clock. What time did I say I'd take you?
4:30.
4:30 I'd take you back.
It's half an hour's time.
Half an hour?
Yes.
Oh. Oh, well, I suppose we'll have to go soon, won't we?
Yeah, we'll have to.
Well, by the look of that tape that's left in the window, she must be getting very near the finish now, wouldn't you say? See that? You can't see any on this side.
Oh, yeah, I think so. It must be near
About due to go click. Wouldn't you think?
Oh, yeah.
Well, Alister, if we are just talking along and it suddenly cuts out, we'd better say hooray now in case that happens, because we're going to run it right out.
Yeah.
Can't afford to send half an inch of empty tape to England. The postage is far too expensive. This rifle shooting season has been a very good one for me, Alister. I got my first ever full possible this season. Actually did it at Scargill in North Canterbury, and I got my I had to shoot 2 cards in this thing. The first one was 110, the second was 99.7, and that effort totaled me the magnificent sum of $13, which wouldn't be a bad day out. We went to the Waipara pub on the way home and celebrated mildly, and then just